Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Is this Ruchi Mataji?
Yeah, it's with my
Ruchi
that
Mataji,
I
is
hope
that
you
you?
hear me. I'm good. How are you? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hare Krishna,
Hare
please accept my
Krishna.
humble obeisances. All glories to
Oh,
Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Manasi Ganga, who just joined.
this is Linda. Hi, this is Linda. Uh, This is Linda in Michigan. How are you, Mariskanga? Hello? Hello, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm sorry. Um, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Manasi Ganga, who's on.
This is this is this is Linda.
Hi Linda, how are you?
Hi, good, thank you. Did I see you on Zoom today, this morning?
Excuse me?
Did I see you on Zoom this morning?
What about Zoom? I'm sorry, for some reason your voice is a little distorted. You're on Zoom. I don't see your face, but you're on, it looks like. We're going to be reading, let's see, um, Canto 3, Chapter 33, 9 through 12. Who else is on the call? I believe Ruchi Mataji, are you on?
I was trying to say hello to you, but you couldn't hear me. For some
Yeah, I'm
reason.
sorry. I couldn't hear you either. Okay, so should we start the prayers? Um, let's see. It was, oh my gosh, Leela Manjari put in the chat that she has to go and help her husband. So she set us up for YouTube live. So I guess that means that we're going to read ourselves. I don't know who was assigned. I don't think I got the email this week to read today. So why don't we start with the prayers? It's 9 after, and then we can I'll read. Each of us can read if we have books. So Richie, did you want to start us in the prayer? Okay, I will. Um, Omagyanatiranandasya Charanjana Savakaya Chakshurmilitanayana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhyastam Stapitanyana Bhutale Svayana Rupa Katarmayam Tatantasva Patantakam Panchakapatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhu Paevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shavasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayana Namaskritya Dam. Oh, I've forgotten those prayers. Who would like to? Govindan Leela, do you want to sing with me? Naratama Vyasantato Paraduriyat Nasta Prasupavadresun Nityam Bhaga Patisevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So Leela Manjari put in the chat that she's going to be gone because she has to help her husband, but that we're on YouTube right now, and that we're reading Canto 3, Chapter 33, 9 through 12. Let's see, Linda, did you have do you have a book in front of you, and would you like to read?
No, I won't be able to read until I had a headache. Sorry.
Did you say you won't be able to read today?
Yes.
Okay. Ruchi, would you like to read? Okay, I haven't heard Ruchi. So, Govindan Leela, did you want to start? And then I can read as well.
Okay. I gotta get this rhythm and I'm gonna be all screwed up. Okay, so today we're reading Canto 3, Chapter 33. This is Text 9. Maitreya Uvacha Udiso Bhagavan Evam Patilaksha Parapuman Asadik Vayatyaha Mataramatri Salaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You know, there's this really loud noise. Is it coming from your place, Manasi Ganga, or is it someone else?
I'm sorry, I'm muting right now.
Thank you so much, dear. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity. Purport: since the Lord is all perfect, his exhibition of affection for his mother was also complete. After hearing the words of his mother, he most respectfully, with due gravity and good manners, replied. Did you want me to continue, Mataji, or did you want someone else to continue? Manasi Ganga Mataji.
I've asked the other two participants, and of which Linda said she was not going to read today, and Ruchi did not respond. Ruchi, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, my phone got discharged. I don't know. It gets
You don't.
crucial times. it just dies and then I have to restart it. I don't know what happens to the phone.
Okay. Okay. So, so in other words, you're not going to be reading, is that it?
No, I can read. You read the words. I have to take out my book and find the words, and I can read the next one.
Okay, I'll read this one then, and you can read the next one. Kapila uvacha marganamena mataste susevyeno titena me ashtitena param kastam achirad avarotsayi. Translation. The personality of Godhead said, "My dear mother, the path of self-realization, which I have already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute this system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall soon, very soon, be liberated, even within your present body." Purport by His Divine Grace. Devotional service is so perfect that simply by following the rules and regulations and executing them under the direction of the spiritual master, one is liberated. And it is said herein, from the clutches of Maya, even in this body. In other yogic processes, or in empiric philosophical speculation, one is never certain whether or not he is at the perfectional stage. But in the discharge of devotional service, if one has unflinching faith in the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master and follows the rules and regulations, he is sure to be liberated, even within this present body. Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has also confirmed this. Iha yasya harer dasya. Regardless of where he is situated, anyone whose only aim is to serve the Supreme Lord under the direction of the spiritual master is called Jivan Mukta, or one who is liberated even with his material body. Sometimes doubts arise in the minds of neophytes about whether or not the spiritual master is liberated. And sometimes neophytes are doubtful about the bodily affairs of the spiritual master. The point of liberation, however, is not to see the bodily symptoms of the spiritual master. One has to see the spiritual symptoms of the spiritual master. Jivan Mukta means that even though one is in the material body, there are still some material necessities since the body is material. Because one is fully situated in the service of the Lord, he should be understood to be liberated. Liberation entails being situated in one's own position. That is the definition in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Muktir svarupena vyasavastihi vastatihi. The Svarupa, or actual identity of the living entity, is described by Lord Chaitanya. Jivara Svarupahaya Krishnera Nityadas. The real identity of this living entity is that he is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Lord. If someone is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, he is to be understood as liberated. One must understand whether or not he is liberated by the activities in devotional service, not by other symptoms. So now we're on 11.
Okay, I can read it. Shraddha Vetan Matam Mahyam Chuttan Yad Brahma Vadidhi Yena Mam Abhayam Jaya Vityum Rachanti Atad Vida. My dear mother, translation, my dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. You may rest assured that if you traverse this path of self-realization perfectly, surely you shall be freed from fearful material contamination and shall ultimately reach me. Mother, persons who are not conversant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death. For material existence is full of anxiety and therefore it is fearful. One who gets out of this material existence automatically becomes free from all anxieties and fear. One who follows the path of devotional service enunciated by Lord Kapil is very easily liberated. Would somebody want to read text 12 or can I read it? No?
Gigi, why don't you go ahead and read it?
Okay. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Pradarshaya Bhagavan Satyam Tam Atmano Gatim Swamatra Brahma Vadinya Kapilo Numato Yayayu. Sri Maitreya said the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapil, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. The mission of the parents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapil was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of science or philosophy, which is full of devotional service. Having imparted that knowledge to his mother and through his mother to the world, Kapil Dev had no more need to stay at home. So he took permission from his mother and left. Apparently, he left home for spiritual realization, although he had nothing to realize spiritually, because he himself is the person to be spiritually realized. Therefore, this is an example set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being so that others might learn from him. He could, of course, have stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with the family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Those who are able to remain alone are given license to live and household life with wife and children, not for sense gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Those who are unable to remain alone.
I think that's all the reading right now. I think it was up through 12. So I guess we can start discussing. Who would like to
Yes.
begin?
I didn't read the 10. We had it from 9 to 12, right?
I think Govardhan Leela started reading.
Yeah, it was just a very short purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity. So I'm going to reply in text 10. And, there's really nothing to say there. I mean, it's mostly in 10 and, 11.
Okay, so I'll continue.
Somebody can explain 10 because I didn't read it. I was doing something.
Oh,
I can explain 11 and 12, which I read.
Okay, so I'll read the translation and then I'll discuss, and Govardhan Leela and Linda can add to it. Translation. The Personality of Godhead said, "My dear mother, the path of self-realization, which I have already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute this system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall very soon be liberated, even within your present body." So what we hear here is that there is a way to become self-realized, and the Lord Himself has instructed. In the form of Kapila Dev, He is talking to His mother, and He's saying that He has already instructed how to do so, and He indicates that even within your own present body, you can be liberated. So I'm going on to the purport, and then people can add to it. But what one needs to do to be in devotional service is one needs to follow the direction of the spiritual master. The rules and regulations that puts one in a favorable position to serve the Lord. It says that the clutches of Maya one can be liberated from the clutches of Maya, even in this body. There are different ways, different paths that people try to do this, and there's the yogic path, the Jnani path of philosophical speculation, but it really doesn't take you to the goal, which is Krishna himself. What one needs is to find a spiritual master, and one needs to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, become initiated, and then follow the instructions of that spiritual master, and he will lead you to a platform where one is practicing devotional service, and that is called Sambandha, I believe, where one is in practice. One is following the rules and regulations, the Vaidhi path. And so Rupa Goswami says something to this within the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says that the aim of one's life is to serve the Supreme Lord. And how does one do that? One does that by following the direction or the instructions of the spiritual master. And what is the result of that? He says Jivan Mukta, or one could be liberated even within this material body. Lots of times the neophytes will look at the spiritual master and confuse actually the position of the spiritual master. He will look at the bodily features, or if the spiritual master maybe says something that is confusing, or whatever. He looks at the surface and judges. But the spiritual master is beyond that. He is the manifestation. Actually, I read a verse today when I was writing a paper for class, and he is the manifestation of, what was it? Oh boy, I can't remember. I'm not really good at remembering verses. But he is a manifestation, merciful manifestation of the Lord. And one should look at the spiritual master as being liberated. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a definition of liberation. It's muktir svarupena vyasa titihi. The swarupa, or the actual identity of the living entity, is described by Lord Chaitanya. And what he says, the real identity of the living entity is that he is the servitor of the Supreme Lord. If one gets to the position of being 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, that is when he becomes liberated. And when one looks at one's spiritual master, one can understand him as that. And so, in other words, one must look at the activities of pure souls or others, look at their activities in devotional service, and one can understand whether they're liberated or not. So, Mataji's, if you want to add to that, who heard, I mean, I just did a summarization actually.
That was very,
No,
very
thanks a lot.
good.
It was really nice.
Mataji.
Understood it.
Oops, I have two
I,
people talking at one time. Is there a chance?
I'll be quiet.
oh no, go ahead. I thought you finished. Go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I was just going to add, now I almost forgot what I was going to say. It's not that important, but I was going to say, thank you very much, Manasi Ganga, Mataji, that was very well said. And I will say just one thing. We have to be careful the way we look at that spiritual master, because if we are thinking that he is just an ordinary man, we are not understanding the how can I say we're not understanding what
His position, yeah.
our whole movement is about. Okay, let me say it that way. The spiritual master is liberated, and I remember one time. You're right. You're correct. Sometimes, even if the spiritual master makes a mistake, that doesn't mean he's not liberated. He has to take a body in this life. And I remember our Guru Maharaj saying that one time, that somebody was giving some criticism, and he answered and he said, well, I do have a body. I have to take care of the body. I'm still here. I'm in the material world. So liberated or not, you have to remember that I do have a body. So they have to take care of their bodily necessities, etc. And whether or not they make a mistake or not has no bearing upon the fact that they are liberated souls. And we should realize that they've come here for a specific mission, which is to bring back each and every one of their disciples back to the spiritual world. That's Guru Maharaj's mission. And he'll stay with us, unfortunately, in the material world until he brings back each and every one of us that he has initiated. Whether or if we stray, he has to stay here until. But there's a difference. If we stray to a point where we're not following his instruction at some point, then he can say, you are no longer my disciple. But if we are following to the best of our ability, then yes, he has to come back and bring us back home, even if it takes another lifetime. Unfortunately, that can happen. We don't want it to happen. He wants us to come home in this lifetime, but it may or may not happen. That's up to Krishna. So I just wanted to add that little bit. And so anyone actually who becomes 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, we're talking morning, noon, and night. It doesn't have to be sannyasis necessarily. There are many gurus wearing white who are engaged in the service of the Lord 24/7, and they are considered, liberated. And there are probably many, I don't know the names of them, but there are probably many in our Krishna consciousness movement who are already liberated souls within this body. So That doesn't mean that there are, that there's absolute perfection going on. And people need to understand that. And I think that's, like you said, you get these neophytes and they don't consider them, they're doubtful about the bodily affairs of the spiritual master. And they see only the bodily symptoms. Well, if you have a body, you're going to display some bodily symptoms while you're in this material world. Only Krishna is not going to manifest some, how can I say, bodily symptoms. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you.
And what is the function of the spiritual master? The spiritual master is there, when I was writing the paper, it's to connect you to the Lord. And so without this connection, one's devotional service does not get passed on to the Lord. Through the parampara, one gets connected to this string of those who are following in the Lord. And so one's devotional service gets passed on to one's spiritual master. And if he is satisfied with it, he passes it on. And then ultimately it reaches the Lord, where without that connection, it's hard to, number one, know what to do. If one is not instructed in both the positive actions and the negative actions, being pravrti and nivritti, if one's not instructed, if one in that on what to do, if one's not instructed in what is one's constitutional position, being that one is servitor of the Lord, then it's like standing at the bottom of like a rock formation, and looking up at the top and saying, how am I supposed to get to that top? How am I supposed to scale this very dangerous incline? Where it's the spiritual master who is at the top of that very steep rock formation, and he throws you down a basket, and he starts reeling you up. He is there through his instructions, through his presence, through his sambandha, or I think that's the way to say that word, through his teaching you, who is the Lord, who you are, and how does one serve the Lord. He's slowly reeling you up. And if one has faith in the spiritual master, one jumps into, or one climbs into this rope basket, and the spiritual master can reel you in. One needs to be steady, though, in one's practice. If one's not steady, one rocks the rope basket back and forth, and it gets caught on possibly a jagged, sharp rock, and the disciple falls. So it's an interaction between the two, but ultimately one can endeavor and endeavor and endeavor. If one does not have, number one, the mercy of the spiritual master, who is the mercy actually of the Lord himself, if one doesn't have that, then one's going to have a difficult time knowing who the Lord is and how to serve him, because that is the function of the spiritual master. That is his job, to make that connection and to teach you how to get closer to the Lord. So that's just what I heard in reading the Nectar of Devotion, the first couple sections. So sorry if I talked too long.
No, thank you, Minister Gangamataji.
Would someone like to summarize the next?
Yeah, I can do that. So yeah, so yeah, we should remember that the spirit of service is also very important. Like sometimes we just tend to over dogmatize religion where we don't actually go into the spirit. So serving the deities in the temple is all good, but we should also remember that the permission lies in the heart of every human being too, and so it should be our spirit of service. It's the same thing said in the Bible too, that we should serve one another and love one another, love one another, help other people. So that also entails the spirit of service, that we are really not, we really don't own anything, and that we are meant to serve others, and because like um consider them. That's just one point I needed to stress, that because it is written that we must understand whether or not one is liberated by his activities in devotional service, how humble the person is, and how ready to serve others is he already always in, because not everybody can just serve in the temple, but it's also about serving others and seeing the Lord present in the heart of every individual. So also like that is why it is written that there are some material necessities, since the body is material, because one is fully situated in the service of the Lord, he should be understood to be liberated. So like there are material necessities, and we get sometimes so caught up in fulfilling, like it happens with me many times. I check myself that many times we get caught up into material necessities, and then everything seems like a necessity, and then like maintaining the body, trying to protect us from the elements. Then there is hunger to be taken care of 3 times in a day, and then the required medicine if somebody is suffering from an illness, and then there is relationships one needs to nurture uh, for their own good and for our own good. And in all that, the very purpose of being here on earth and utilizing this chance given to us by God is sometimes forgotten, that yes, this body is just an instrument to help us be better people and realize our mistakes, because human being is the highest form of development, and one should realize that we are here to become closer to God, in the sense like especially these verses here stress very much, like Kapil Dev was liberated and he became equivalent to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so whatever he does, everybody, he did it because whatever he did, everybody is going to take him as an example and follow him. So similarly, this case is written in Gita. This thing is written in Bhagavad Gita, that whatever a great man does, so the others follow. So it is very important that we always check ourselves whether if we claim ourselves, like especially with me, I think many times that yeah, if I call myself as spiritual, I need to check myself every time and often. What example I can tell another person who was maybe an atheist, that okay, did I at least basically become a better human being than I was before? And so like it's all good doing the spiritual practices and everything, but it's also important to remember that even Kapil Dev, who is considered equivalent to a Supreme Personality of Godhead, didn't say, okay, well, since I am on the mode of goodness, whatever I do will be okay, so I can just be here and enjoy because we often tend to fall down into the pattern of self-gratification and self-enjoyment. It happens to all of us. We are all humans, but we need to constantly check ourselves that we need to set up some principles, like how there are the four regulative principles in this spiritual path. Similarly, there are many other spiritual practices to be held in Buddhism, and there are many other practices to be held in Islam, and then there are other practices that are held to be holy in some other sects of religion, like Christianity has its own set of 10 commandments. So it's very important that we follow them in the spirit, like, how it's written that we like how purity of mind, body, and soul is very important. All our thoughts have to be very pure and not selfish. And like when he says, when Prabhupada says that the four regs are one should not have illicit regs, it also pertains to the finer principles when we read the Bhagavatam, which is like one should not have a wrong thinking in the mind, which is to satisfy our senses. I think to reach that level of regulation in our mind when we are not thinking of, because one verse we read in the Bhagavatam, I remember, said that sense gratification can also mean when one is desiring the wrong things. Even desiring to that extent, if we can purify our mind, that we do not even desire for sensory enjoyment or for our own enjoyment, but we just, even our desires become very pure. That is real following of the regulative principles. So we have to, if we claim to follow any religion, we should try to follow it as much. And then, like how Kapil Dev emulated so much the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he became him. So whatever we worship and emulate, we should take down the good qualities and try to emulate it in our own life, so that we can become a reflection of the God we worship. Not become him, we cannot become him, but we can, but a part of our consciousness can reflect that light, whatever form of light we are worshipping. That is what I have always felt, because all religions tend to make it pretty like based on scriptures which are difficult to follow, but we often forget the spirit when we are discussing about the scriptures. So that is one thing that I would like to stress, that we should try to emulate the qualities of the divine we worship, so that we can become a reflection of him. And so yes, that is what he's saying, that this is an example set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being, so that others might learn from him. He could, of course, have stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with the family. It is best to remain alone, because alone we will not have a need to focus on the other person. Maintaining a relationship requires a lot of time, effort, dedication, devotion, and a lot of effort. And we can use that time in developing our relationship with the Supreme. But if a person cannot remain alone, then we have to, that person is given a license to live, but not for sense gratification, that he is enjoying family life, but only that he can help others and himself to grow in Krishna consciousness. And Krishna consciousness does not mean just according to me again, I think, because I always go to the spirit of the thing. It does not just mean worshiping or chanting. Of course, it is a part of that, but reminding ourselves while we are chanting that we are also trying to imbibe the good qualities or trying to lift ourselves spiritually through the process to the divine, and the divine is in our consciousness and actions, not just in like some outer religion. So that was my 2 cents. So if anybody feels like I need to be corrected or they want to share or add something, please do so, because I just sometimes think about these things and I just try to say what I think. Maybe it's not politically or scripturally correct, but that was my 2 cents and I just wanted to say it. So if anybody thinks it is wrong, please definitely try to correct me.
I wanted to say how beautiful it was that when you said, it's kind of like what we need to do is we need to like imbibe whatever religion it is and reflect reflect the divine. That is just so beautiful, not just to hear the scriptures, but to live the scriptures. That was, I really love that out of what you had said.
Yes,
That
yes,
is the
like sometimes,
essence.
yeah, like sometimes we think, like at least I think that it definitely helps to lift us up spirit.
I can't hear you, Matache. I wonder if she got disconnected. Let me see. I don't know. Governor Lila, can you hear her?
No, I'm not hearing anything, even though she's not muted.
Is she
I
still
don't
on?
know.
Yeah.
It seems that she's still on.
I don't think so, because I think we just have Linda's phone number that ends with 3955. I don't see, because it's you, me, Lila Manjri, and one phone number, and I believe that was Linda's. So
Alita Manjri's not on today, huh?
she turned it on, and then she said she had something to do. She put that in the chat. I didn't really talk to her about it. Anyway, so I remember at the beginning, before she started talking, Richie said that her phone kept on dropping, like the battery
Yeah.
would go out. So I believe that may have been what has happened.
What
Linda,
happened?
yeah,
Yeah.
Linda, did you want to speak to any of this or talk about any of the verses at the end? Maybe she's preoccupied right now. So even though Richie's not here, I just kind of wanted to respond to something that she did say. She was saying that, like it's so important to actually like help society, serve society, etc. And yeah, I mean that is definitely the Christian perspective, you know, seeing God in your neighbor and serving your neighbor. And like also, I mean, even in Krishna consciousness, we're told that, you know, Krishna is in everybody's heart. And so we need to see that. But there's also another teaching that says, you know, yeah, we're supposed to serve others. That's really important. But ultimately, who is the recipient of our service? Who should we actually be trying to please in whatever service, whatever relationship we have? Who are we trying to please? Ultimately, we're trying to please the Lord. And in Nectar of Devotion, I believe it was the preface or the introduction, that when one tries to please Krishna, what happens is it's like if one's watering the roots of the tree, the whole tree thrives, right? But if one misplaces one's service and actually tries to water a branch, and then one waters a leaf, and then one waters the trunk, that's misplaced service. And in other words, if you're trying to be pleasing to everybody else, but you're not thinking about how your service is pleasing the Lord and understanding that He is the recipient of all service, then, the tree will not flourish. In other words, if we serve the Lord, if we try to please the Lord, then what happens is He becomes happy, and then everybody becomes happy. So I just wanted to to respond to what she had said. Like, yes, of course we need to serve, people within our lives and maybe society, but you got to make that distinction, though. Are you trying to serve society or your family for your own sense gratification? Because it's actually extended sense gratification if one is just trying to make oneself feel better about serving others. But if one does it, whatever the service is, if one is helping another devotee who's having problems in his life or whatever, ultimately the prime reason is one is trying to please Krishna, and then also helping the devotee, or helping the unwed mother who needs clothes, and you giving clothes, but you're trying to please Krishna through that action first. And then of course the action is also benefiting. In other words, please Krishna first, and everybody becomes happy. So I just wanted to respond to that.
So I had
Yeah,
comment.
can I say something? I definitely didn't mean that we should serve others. What I meant is that we should be developing that spirit of service towards other people. That we are like the servant of the servant of the servant.
I'm sorry, I can't
And
understand you, Mataji. Can you slow down? Because I can't understand what you're
yeah,
saying.
I said that I was just saying that I didn't say that we should serve others, but like we should try to. I mean, of course, we should try to serve God in all the ways, but not everybody has the opportunity to go to the temple and offer devotional service in the temple to the deities. But then we can. Offer that we should develop that spirit of service, being in whichever situation we are, that we are acting as a servant to the other person, trying to help or trying to raise our God consciousness and their God consciousness too, helping them to elevate themselves spiritually, no matter what form of a religion they believe in or God they believe in, but
Yes.
to serve them and to have that spirit of service, not to enjoy that relationship, but to act as an agent of God to develop them spiritually and develop ourselves spiritually in every situation and in every relationship. That
Yes.
because even Krishna says that he is living as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. So, we should try to worship the other person and as a like not worship, but like you should try to give service to the other person and not try to take or satisfy our senses from any relationship or any situation.
I just,
That is
go on. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
no, go ahead. That's it. Yeah, that is. I mean, that spirit of service is something.
I I just wanted to say that I I feel that your definition of devotional service is very limited and very small. You said, oh, not everybody can go to the temple and serve the deities in the temple. Well, that's one part, but it's not. You know, who is the prime example um, of devotional service? That's Radharani. And Radharani is, she was serving Krishna. She was not, and we too, like, it's not like just going to the temple and serving there. It's in our relationships with others that we're serving him. But I think it's the consciousness, I think, or my understanding, my limited understanding is it's one's consciousness. And I think that's what you may be saying too. But I just wanted to,
Yes.
like, yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, when you say not everybody can go to the temple and serve, that's just a part of devotional service. Like, rather than go to a temple and sit in front of the deity, and she's not the prime example of devotional service on account of going to a temple and doing puja or whatever. No, it's because she was serving. She was trying in all of her body, her mind, her words, everything was devoted to pleasing the Lord. That's devotional service, my understanding. It's not limited, at least in that one statement. I understood you to thinking that it was like, it's not just those outward, doing puja or whatever, just attending to the devotees in the temple. No, that's not. I mean, devotional service is much wider, and I don't know. That's just my understanding. Govindan Leela, did you want to respond?
I was going to agree with that part. Manasi Ganga Mataji, I'm sorry, but it's hard to hear. Could you please, what do you call it, mute your phone? Yeah, thank you, my dear. That really helps me. Thank you so much. I was just going to say, yeah, devotional service is very unlimited. Just remember, Ruchi Mataji, that all these things that we do during the day, none of us is that we are not at the temple right now, and we are all performing devotional service. It is our mood. It is our mood toward serving the Lord. Are we motivated to get up early in the morning and chant our rounds? Are we motivated to sing praises to the Lord, to listen to the different gurus and what they have to instruct, the message that they're instructing to us? All of those things are also part of devotional service. Just reading the scriptures themselves and trying to understand the way we are is devotional service. And there are so many other forms. I cannot perform within the temple very much because I can't do a lot of physical work. I just can't do it. My body can't handle it. And it hasn't been able to do it for years, for like 30 years. And so I've been, I'm forced to use my mind. I'm forced to do it in other ways. But there is service all the time. It's just always wanting to please the Lord, as Manasi Ganga pointed out. So we have to understand that devotional service is very vast and very unlimited. And it is all about what is our mood in serving the Lord. We can serve the Lord in so many different ways. And I was just going to make one last comment. I do have to get off after that. because we'll probably get cut off anyway. We have to be careful. You're absolutely right. We can serve other people, and we can know that we are serving Krishna while we're serving like the average karmi on the street who needs help, okay, in some way, shape, or form. But I've had some experience with this. You don't have to, what's the word? You don't have to blurt it out to them that, this is only for God. I'm doing this for God, okay? Ultimately, you're doing it for the Lord. You need to know that within your heart, but you want to serve those people with love and attention, because you might be the only hope they have. And if you start to say, well, my intention really is to serve the Lord by serving you, that could hurt somebody pretty badly. They might not understand that, especially if they're atheists. There are a lot of people out there who are atheistic, and they would be very offended by something like that. So I think right in the middle, like what Manasi Ganga was saying and what you were saying, there's the serving the Lord and knowing that everything we're doing in our day, we're doing for the Lord. You can make the whole day service to the Lord, okay? And then you can also serve other people, and we're supposed to do that. But there's a way, we have to watch the way we talk to people, because I've run across this. Like, for instance, in my own family, if they need help with something, I don't say to them, I'm serving you because this is what the Lord wants me to do. No, I don't say that to them. I just tell them, I'm serving you because I love you, and if I think there's a way to talk to people depending on what level of consciousness they're at. And yeah, I just wanted to add that. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that there in the Bible, there is a verse that says that God sees the heart. He doesn't see the outer act, or he doesn't see the outer act itself. And really, we cannot save ourselves by our acts, or we can be only saved by His grace. So any kind of thing, even a good thought we have for somebody, if it's genuine and from the heart, God is going to count that. He's not going to see what and of course we should be mindful of the other person's feelings. Sometimes you have the best of intentions and it backfires so badly. And I've had many times experience, the more good I do, the more bad that person does to me for the same thing that the good I did to him. It happens to me quite a while, and I'm trying to understand why. But ultimately I feel, well, God knows my heart, that I did it out of my best intentions and out of my best wishes for this person. So God is not going to see how it affected that person, or how I got affected, or I guess because God knows the heart. Only God can know the heart. No other person or no other person or deed can actually, because we can only try our best. We are so small. So like I said, that kind of tells us more about like how God is different from that individual person we are trying to help, definitely. But he counts that okay, even if we are doing it for the person and not for God, he would still be happy that at least we had the wish to serve somebody else, get out of our own selfish body and think of that other person or other entity, because it might have been him. So like how it's written in the Bible, that do unto others what you would want them to do to you. So similarly, we could have been in that situation. And just wanted to add that one part, that God sees the heart. He knows everybody's heart. So
right. I'm just what you bring to mind is the Bible story of Jesus saying, whenever you have clothed the poor, or fed the hungry, or all those different things, you've done it unto me. In other words,
Yeah.
you're serving them physically or whatever, but the intention was that you're trying to please the Lord, and He will accept that as service to Him. But it's in you like you said, it's all, if you were making the distinction, I'm doing this for your satisfaction, but not just on the receiving end. Yes, there's a need, but it's like you're filling a need, but you're doing it so Krishna is happy, right? I think that's just the crux of this whole discussion that we're having. I think that there's needs out there, and we need to possibly respond to them. There's relationships we have that we need to be caring to others, but ultimately, who is the recipient of all? First of all rasas, and then of all service. It's the Lord. It's the Lord, and when He becomes happy with your service, whether it's directly to Him or directly to another person in need, he will shower His love upon you in response to the nice act that you have just performed. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Nancy Ganga Mataji and Govardhan Leela Mataji. Yeah, it was nice to hear that and make it kind of made it more clearer. Yes, I mean he does say he is in everybody's heart as Paramatma, but then he has a separate entity too. So we should try to serve that separate entity and also the other people as a part of him. So yes.
That's a very nice point. Very good point. That yes, he is a separate entity. He is Krishna as an individual, as a person, and that's what all these acts are. We perform an act to please, to each individual person or whatever in our service to them, and they have Paramatma in their heart. But ultimately, it's like Krishna, the person that we're trying to please as well. I think that's a good point. I like that.
Well, thanks a lot,
Thank you.
all of you, for the nice discussion. I think it's time now.
To go. Yes, it is. Thank you for all your good questions and all your good points. So many nice points that you made. Thank you, Ruchi, Mataji.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm learning too in the process because I always tend to go back to the Paramatma, that we should look at everybody as part of God, and we should act like we are pleasing God, but ultimately all the other souls are imperfect, and like it is written, two imperfect people cannot become perfect. So we have to go, and if we are seeking perfection, then we have to go to the perfect one, and then we have to try and please him so that we can yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Nice point.
I keep getting lost in the mire again and again, and then I keep reminding myself that no, we are all imperfect souls trying to make sense of it all, and the only person who has it all figured out is God. So we gotta approach him, because if we approach each other, of course we should try to see ourselves as a servant of the other person, but if the other person is also imperfect and he's also looking for a perfect one to help him out, then we cannot help each other. I guess yes, that that is very important, that we cannot help each other, but then God, since He's all knowing, knows what's in our heart, and He would reciprocate for everything that we have done for other people too, because other people are also a part of Him only. So
I think that to pray to God, you know, that Saint Francis prayer, let me be an instrument of thy peace.
yes,
So yeah, I think that like we need to just be the arms and the legs for God. I'm sorry, I've got my nephew here with noises. So I have to leave now, Mataji, but you have so many good points. Oh, please continue helping us through to understand, and you always have points that are like that make us really think. So thank you, Mataji. Hare
no,
Krishna.
thank you, all of you too. I'm also learning in the process. I learned a lot today too, that yes, we need to focus on the perfect one and not focus on, I keep losing my focus and going back to people, and I need to focus on God as God, and like, okay, everybody is a branch, that's right, and we need to do the best to serve, but not expect them to help us since we help them, because they are also as much incapable as we are of helping anybody, since we are all like imperfect. We cannot help ourselves.
You,
Each other. I mean, we cannot help each other. We need that perfect God to help us. So,
yeah. So it's through Him. I mean, it's Him, but we're acting on His behalf to help all those other like imperfect people as ourselves, you know, helping. Yeah, so, oh my gosh, you just have nice points, one after another, Mataji. But I have to go, Mataji, because I have to get dinner on for everybody. Okay,
okay.
Mataji. Okay, so
Okay,
thank
thank
you,
you, Linda
thank you.
Mataji. Thank you, Govardhan Neela Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Bye
Hare
bye.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.